in, zoom in a bit. It should be okay. Okay, I think yeah, that's okay. So I'm just going to confirm. Oselu, please, is this okay? Is the
Yeah,
font okay in terms of size?
yeah, the front is okay.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
okay. The front is okay.
okay, okay, sir. Thank you. Okay, please excuse me. I'm trying to change my mic. Okay. So today we'll be talking on um, data structures. Data structures. Data structures. And in that, we'll be starting with the list data structure. So what is a data structure? Data structure basically are ways we could store our data, just like as the name implies. They are just ways we could store our data. And our data in this case could be floats, strings, ints, we know all these things. So that's what basically what a data structure could be, where we could store our data, in a sequence, let's say in an ordered form. Okay, that's basically what a data structure could be. And in this case, we have list as a type of data structure. So which means list is where or somewhere we could store some of those our data, and it has its own format. Okay, just as I said that the data structure is the way we could store our data. It could be in an orderly format or not orderly. Okay, so and in this case, list is a kind of data structure where we could store our data. So something we should note that in C programming, because we've done C, I always love to make reference to C. In C programming, there's something we call array. Most of us are familiar with it. So array is almost like list here, because you get to define it in the same way, and in terms of the indexing, it works the same way. But the difference between list and array is, I think list could hold all kinds of data at the same time, while array could only hold one at once. So in array, we could in arrays in C, we could have something like this, equals to, that's, how you do it, you would define the size and everything. That was C. And then you could have something like this, David, and I could have Pascal, but I can't have something like this inside of my array. It would be very, very wrong. Okay, but in Python here, you could have this as a list, and this works. So I think that's basically the difference between a list and an array. But just think of it that list works almost the same way as an array, because we get to define it with the same kind of brackets here. Okay, so now let's get into the business of today. So, excuse me, let me take water. Okay. So how do we define our list? How do we define our list? First, to define your list, you have to give it a name. And just like when we have a variable, okay, that's our list. Basically, variable are where we store data, right? So in this case, when you want to have list, now your list just contains series of data. So you need to store it somewhere, like give it a name. All right. So in this case, you give your list a name. So since I started with names, I'll start with names, and then you define the squared brackets. Okay. So once you open it, that is the list. This could be called an empty list. But to store inside of your list, what do you do? If it is a string, you have to enclose it inside of single quote or double quote. Both of them work the same way, except that if you're having a single quote and you want to write something like this, something like this, it wouldn't work, because it's going to see this at the beginning and this at the end. Okay, and this at the beginning of something else, and this here is going to give you an error. The S inside of it is going to give you an error. But if I did something like this, David, it's going to work, because this is a double quote and this is a double quote. So it's just as we explained then in strings in Python here. that wherever it starts like this, when it encounters the next double quote, or if it was a single quote, when it encounters the next single quote, to treat it as the end of it. Okay, so but also if you had something like this, and I have double quotes here, it's also it will still work because it's a single quote, and what we have here is okay. Let me do like this. What we have here is a double quote. Okay, so it sees here as the end. So that's basically that for strings. So my list could hold strings, floats, int at the same time. Unlike when we have it in C, that it can only hold a particular kind of data at once. So here I'm going to have Pascal. Of course, since they are all strings, I'm going to enclose them in quotes. Now, after you give it the first value, you separate them with commas, just like we had it in C, right? So for the next thing here, I'm going to give it, whose name was I? Thomas. And then I'm going to give it Nafisat. Then I had Dixon. Sorry, I'm supposed to enclose that in quotes. So this is basically a list having multiple values inside of a variable. That is a list. And now I could print it just as you would print a normal variable. I could print my list and say print names, and whatever is stored inside of names is going to be printed. And you see it's enclosed in squared bracket. So this is a list here. All right. So what are some of the things that we should know about lists? Lists are ordered. When it means that lists are ordered, it means when you give it a position like this, okay, when you want to print it in the indexing format, let's say I want to print whatever is stored in 0, just like as we know in strings. If I run it here, it's going to give me Pascal, because Pascal is the first value we have here. That's what it means, like lists are ordered. It means it takes the form in which you write it. So here is going to be 3. If I want to print whatever is stored at the index of 3, it will give me Dixie. And now, just a recap. The indexing in programming as general starts from 0. So the first value here is 0, index 0. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. That is basically how it works in case we missed that. So that is what it means that lists are ordered. So I think I'll just write it here. Lists are ordered. And then another thing we should note is that lists are changeable. It means after creating my list, and perhaps I want to change what is inside of this place, I can change it, or I want to add to it. Maybe I wanted to add another name to it. I could add something else to it. That is what it means by lists are changeable. So in this case, how do we add, let's say, another value to our list? Of course, we are going to use the indexing. Okay, since the indexing here represents the position at which our values are being stored, so we'll change it using our indexing. How do we do that? For example, if I do something like this and say at the index of, let's say, okay, let me just, I don't want to move any name I have here. Let me say I'm going to add my own name, right? And then I want to change my own name to Michael, right? So at the index of 0, 1, 2, at the index of 2, I want to change the name to Michael. So I could do this. And then if I could go on to print names again, it's supposed to give me Pascal, Thomas, David, Nafisat, and Dixon. But just note that David will be... Okay, sorry. Did not comment this out. So if I run the code again, you see it gives me Pascal, Thomas, Michael, Nafisat, Dixon. Okay, so that's how you could change a value in your list. Okay, now moving forward, they also said that list accepts duplicate values. What does that mean? It means, let me comment here that let's say changing the value at index 2. Now, list accept duplicate values. What does it mean? I could have David here twice, and I could have Dixon here twice, and it wouldn't change anything. So let me add a duplicate value here. Let's say I'm going to add Dixon again and give it to this. So if I should print this, you see, we have Pascal, Dixon, Michael, that, and Dixon again. So that is basically what it means by list accept. Let me take that. List accept duplicate values. So if you're writing a program where you need to store multiple values in a variable, you may consider to use list. And of course, depending on whatever you want to write, you may decide to use list or any other data structure you have in Python. So if I'm writing a program where I'll consider having multiple or duplicate values inside of my variable, then definitely I will consider using list. Or if I need something that maybe during somewhere in my program I will need to change the values inside of my list, then I will consider using list. And then if I need something that is ordered, that if I want to change a value at a particular index, okay, without having issues with it, then I'll definitely consider list. So understanding how they work is going to help you choose whichever data structure you should work with. So this is basically that about list. And of course, there are some methods, just like as we learned yesterday, modules, about modules. There are some methods we have, inbuilt methods we have attached to lists that we could use to manipulate them. Okay, and some of these methods include sort, reverse, and I don't know, forgetting some of them, but let's just play with them and see how I could remember them. Okay, so let's say I think I should just remove Dixon from here. So let's say I have these names, right? And I want to add something inside of the list, but I don't want to add it at a particular continue it. What do? I'm going to use the append method of the list. Okay, so since I have the names here, this is how it works. You write the names. So whenever you want to use a method, basically how it works, method name, and some of them follows with so you may need to study some of these methods to really know how it works and which one you should use. To the end of my list, I'm going to use the append method, and this is what it does. I'm going to append whose name did I meet here? I want to use Emmanuel Rex. So I'm going to add Emmanuel to the list. And then if I should print names now, you see that Emmanuel will be added to the end of the list. Okay, you could also add a name at a particular index. I've showed us that already. Or let's try another way we could do that. So I could also add a name at a particular index using the insert method of the list. Okay, so this is how it works. You write the insert keyword, and then, I just mentioned that I'm telling you, giving a value of what you want to store inside of the list. So insert to accept argument. So it accepts two arguments. The first one is the indexing, where you want to store the value. And in this case, let's say I want to store it at the index of 1. Similarly, after Pascal, I want to have another name. And maybe the name should be Blessed. I think I saw Blessed in the meet here. Blessed. And then if I should I have Pascal, then I inserted it at the index of 1. This is 0, 1. Dixon, and then I have Emmanuel, which I appended to the end of the list. So that is the insert method of the list. And then we also have remove. There are a lot of methods you could go about. You could just check for them on the internet and learn how to use each of them, or some of them that are important. So that whenever you're writing program, you won't need to write long code. Rather, you just look for something you could is to do whatever you want to do. So if I want to remove a particular value from my list, I could use the remove method, and then when I open the parentheses, I'll pass in the value I want to remove. Let's say I want to remove. Let me remove myself from the list. If I should print names again, see we have Pascal, all of that, and David is no longer here. So yes, that is how you could remove a value from your list. But one of the methods I love that really interests me is the sort method, because you could use it to sort your values alphabetically. Vertically. Remember I said some of them accept argument while some doesn't, like the sort here. I don't need to pass in an argument. So if I should run this now, you see it prints the name, or it displays the name alphabetically, starting from this is B, D, E, unlike how we stored it from P. So if you needed to maybe sort your values alphabetically or in ascending order, okay, that's the word, ascending order, because you could have numbers, right, in ascending order from smallest to the biggest. You could use your sort method. And we also have, I think, reverse, where you could reverse the order of your list. So I want to comment something out here first of all. So I want to reverse our list. How do we do that? We use the reverse method. It doesn't accept arguments, just your parentheses. And when I print the list, you see, start from the end, from Emmanuel, because we have sat down to Pascal. So yeah, that is some of the methods we have in the list. Okay, we could also clear this list. Okay, we could also clear this list and have an empty list. So we say dot clear. Then when you run this, we have an empty list. Yeah, so that is how you could clear whatever. Why would someone even need to clear their list? Why did you create it? But cases may arise that you need to do that. So that's basically how you do that. So those are some of the methods I would say we have in list. Although this is not all. To see the available methods we have in list, available method in list to run. See, let me uncomment this. Let me uncomment that. I would say dir names. Yeah, I think that should work. Okay, so these are some of the methods we have in list. As you see, we have clear. This is pop. Okay, I didn't even talk about pop. We have reverse. So these are some of them we have. So you could go on to read about them and see how they work. Okay, so you could use whichever you want to use at a particular. I think if I should use help here, it should give me. Yes, okay, so you could also see the definition of all those, though not all of them, list objects, if no argument. Okay, this may not be all of them. This is an online compiler. So you could run this command and you might see definition of some of those. You should see all of them. The definition of all the methods you have on list. Yeah, from there you get to know which of them you should use at a particular point in time. So yes, that is it for list. And you could also count the value you have in list. Yeah, by saying, I'm going to print it. I will say print names.count, right? And I have. Okay, I hope they can still hear me. So if I print this, see, I have just one Juxin. Yeah, but if I was to have two Juxin here, I have it in here. Then I run this program, you see we have two. So yeah, that's the count method we use to count the values, a particular value you have in list. So these are not all of them. Another one I would have loved to show us is the pop method. We have names.pop. Before I show us this, please, someone is at my door. Just give me 3 minutes and I'm back. Let me answer the door. Please, excuse me. I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, please say you are excused.
You're excused.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
excused.
I hear you.
Okay, please. Just 2 minutes and I'm back. Okay, so I hope I didn't take much time. I'm back already. And thank you for the patience. Okay, so I wanted to show us the pop method. I think I should just clear this. So I'll just clear this. And so the pop method, how it works is that, okay, let me still print names. Is that when you use the pop method like this, it's going to remove a random value from your list. So if I run this now, Thomas, David Nafisat. Okay, if I run it again, okay, I think it removes the last value we have. Okay, yeah, I think so. I used to think it moves a random value. Remove. Okay, remove the last value you have in your list. But I think you could also pass in an index, and then it will remove whatever it is you have. We have two dukes in, so let me use another value. Let me use 4. Around this, so we had 0, 1, 2, 3. David was 4. Yeah, so that is that. So you could pass an index and it removes whatever it is that is stored at that index. So yes, those are some of the values you could have in the list. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. And then we move up. Before I move over to tuples, I want to give room for questions. Do we have any questions on list? Anybody? Please, for some of you who cannot ask your questions, you could also always drop them in the inbox, and definitely I'll answer them. So, do we have any questions on list before? Okay. Okay, I'll take a question now, Pastor. I'll take a question.
Okay, Mr. David. From what you explained, it is very clear that the pop and the remove is doing the same thing. What is different between the both of them?
Okay, the pop and the remove. Okay, so the remove removes when you use it without an index, it removes the last value stored in our list. But when you give it an index, right, it removes whatever it is that is stored in on that indexing. But when you use your remove, of course, you have to give it the particular value you want to remove. Okay, not the index. So if I know that I want to remove David from the list, I will just pass in the string David. But what if I have David inside of this list, but I don't know that David was stored at the index of 4, and I don't want to remove David? So it depends on how you want to use it. Those are the differences. This one I'm passing in the value itself, while this one I'm passing in the indexing. Or even if I don't pass the indexing, it's just going to remove the last value in the list. Those are the differences.
Can you try an index or remove? Try it and see if it's going to work. Because I think it has worked for me before.
Really? It could still work anyways. It's still under comment. Yeah. Yes. So what was is not X not in list. So 4 is not in the list. It cannot remove that.
Okay.
Yes. Except I had 4. Was it? Except I had 4 stored as a value in my list. For example, I could have the value here 4, and we don't include 4 in a. If 4 4 is actually a value inside of this list, you don't use it. So if I should say remove 4 and then I run this program, it should be able to remove 4. So you see, it moves 4 because I cannot pass 4 inside of this list as a string. All right. You know how we work with numbers and text in programming. Text are always passed inside of quotes, while numbers are always the way it is. So if I should put 4 like this, it means I want to remove the value 4 because 4 is a number, so I can't put it in quotes, just like as I have it here. So it's going to remove that value 4 from this list. I hope you understand.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, great. So I think those are basically the differences between the pop and the remove. Okay, Olawale Samuel, you have a question. Olawale Samuel. Okay, Ola, you might be speaking, but your mic is mute, so you might want to click on this button if it is showing red. Okay, I can hear you now, but not very loud. But I can hear you.
Okay. Please manage it with me. And when, from what we read, lists are mutable. As you have just displayed everything here, you can append, you can pop, you can remove, you can add, you can insert, and do whatever you want to do with it. Arrays are not mutable. Those ones are fixed. What are now the advantage of arrays over? Now we know the advantage of list over an array. What is the advantage of an array over a list? If there is no advantage of an array over a list, then why are we disturbing ourselves on something that's not?
Okay.
You cannot even use it for any other. You cannot even use it for something mutable in the future, or even in your own program, if you want to put it in the future.
Okay. So let me explain that. Now this is Python, right? And that was C. Now in C programming we have arrays, but in Python we don't have arrays in Python. So what we have in Python is list, which resembles array because of how you define it. Okay, so of course, depending on whatever you want to do, just like in Python here, we have a data structure that you will not be able to change anything inside of it, and we still use it. All right, depending on what we want to use it for. So there's no really like what is the advantage of this over this. It just depends on what you want to use it for. That is that. I could write a program now and I will not use list. I will use tuples or sets instead. That's because I have a reason. This is what I'm trying to do. So this is what works best. So that's basically it. Okay, and you know before now we learned something like algorithm. That's looking for the fastest and shortest means you could do something. So if I have a program to write and I see that if I use list, it will work fine, but then it will give me some stress and I don't know. Then and I have tuple, and tuple could do this thing faster for me. So why should I use list? Rather, I'm going to use tuple. So depending on whatever you want to do, you could just use any of them. But in Python here, we don't have arrays, so you cannot compare array and list in Python. Rather, you could do that in C. And in C, they don't have list. So that's basically it, Olawale. Okay, I hope you heard me. So you can bring down your hand now so that I will not call you again. Okay, so nobody has any other question on list? Okay, if so, then we can move further. So the next one on my list, or the next thing we have today is, of course, tuples. And tuples could be quite interesting. Why? Because unlike lists, okay, tuples too are ordered. Yeah, that's something, Abi? Yeah, tuples too are ordered. So I'll start with saying tuples are ordered. Tuples are ordered. So when I say tuples are ordered, I believe we already understand what I mean by tuples are ordered because I explained that in list. So tuples are changeable too. Tuples are unchangeable. Tuples are unchangeable, and tuples, but do they allow duplicates? Yes, I think. They do. Tuples allow duplicates. Yeah, I work most of the time with lists. So that's why you see me contemplating. But yes, they do. So tuples are ordered, tuples are unchangeable, and tuples allow duplicates. So we know what this means. It means the way you define it, that is the structure it takes, right? So yeah. So for example, let me just copy this again. Yeah, let me copy this again. Or this time around, let me use countries. Countries. So how do you define your tuple? You define it with your bracket or parentheses, as we call it. And they also hold different kinds of data at once. So I could have one, I could have, what's his name? Olawale. I could have three. So yeah, 3.13. Yeah, so I could have something like this as a tuple, and it works. Okay, unlike arrays, I always want to make a reference. In arrays in C, you can only have just one kind of data type in an array. You can't have int and strings at the same time. So yeah, so in countries, let's define some countries. So I'll start with let me start with Nigeria, my country, and then I have Ghana there. Sorry, close that. I have South Africa. I have. Please give me a country in Africa.
Uganda.
Zimbabwe, Egypt.
Okay. Egypt. Okay, I think I will just end it there.
We have Niger.
Okay, I will just end it here. I have already 6 already, so I'll just end it here. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have here that tuples are ordered, right? Which means the order you defined it is the order it is when you want to use it. So I have countries, and if I should print countries, I have Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Uganda, and Egypt, just as I listed it here, or as I defined it here. So they said tuples are unchangeable. So for tuples to be unchangeable, what does that mean? I cannot add to my tuple after I've created it. So if I do something like this, and I do, of course, this is for list. Square bracket is for list. And then I want to do what I did in list. Say equals to, let me, Zimbabwe, I hope that's how to spell it. Zimbabwe. And then I run this. What do we have here? Object does not support item assignment. So which means I can't change it. So this is void. So I'll just comment this line and I'll say void. Then void. Incorrect. So very, very incorrect. Should do something like this. Incorrect. Permit me to just do it. Incorrect. So that's what it means by tuples are unchangeable. And then it also allows duplicate values, which means I could still have the same country I have, let's say Egypt. I could still have Egypt here, and of course it still works. So if I run this, I have Egypt here, So yeah, that is basically tuples. So there's nothing much to really explain in tuples, because when we understand list here, we should understand tuples in terms of tuples are ordered, unchangeable, and they also allow duplicate. So of course, tuples also have methods to work with, and I would say we should also go and look for that ourselves. Yeah, that is an assignment, so that I won't be feeding us with everything here. Okay, so you could also, as an assignment, don't worry, we're going to add to our repository. We are going to have assignments on that, where you are going to also give me some of the methods. So tuples too have methods just like list. So from here, you understand what a method is. They are just additional functions you could use to manipulate your items instead of your list. So just like that, these two also have. So you could just look that up on the internet. So you will learn more. Because if I give you just this, I know for some of us, this I mentioned here are what we'll stick with. But if you go home and say, okay, let me check what he said in Tuples, you will get to learn more. So please do that, even in list. So that is that for Tuples, because I want us to also solve some of the exercises we have. Okay, so I'm just going to comment this out. I'm going to have this twice. Okay, so I could copy this too. Might still want to play with it, or we just want to have it so it's not complete. Okay, it's complete. There's nothing here again. So that's basically that on Tuples. So let's see how we could use Tuple. I don't really have a program in mind. Yeah, but what would I use this for? Okay, so let's create a question and answer game. No, let me question. That's the wrong quiz game. Yeah, quiz game. So quiz game in the form that we'll just have questions. The reason I want to do this is because so that we could put something inside something. That is, put variables or text inside a list or a tuple, just to see how these two behave, right? So let's create a quiz game where we just have a couple of questions and answers, and you get to choose which of them is correct or not. Okay, so what do I need to write in my program? I'm going to need the questions, and I'm going to need the answers, and I'm going to need the response. Guys, not answers, options. So I'm going to have the questions, I'm going to have the options like ABC, and then I'm also going to give the user the opportunity to input those answers. Okay, so let me questions, and then of course, since I'm not going to have just one question, right? I'm going to have, let's say, up to 3 questions. It would be best if I do what? Instead of me to say question one, I would say, what is that? What is that question? And then I would name another variable and say question 2. What I could do is to put all of them inside of, let's say a tuple. Yeah, so that I will not be able to change the questions after I've created it. So I don't know. You could have a reason for that. So my first question is going to be, I don't even know who is the mommy of the community. So that's my first question. And yeah, first question, separate with a comma. So I'm just going to do it like this. It's an online editor. It's not, okay. So my next question will be,
Please, the next.
okay, what is the next? No, let me not ask that, because not all of us are from Nigeria. Just give me something in there. Like, okay, what is the minimum score during probation? Something like that. During probation. Give me another question. Something related to tech. Should I say who is Jasper? You will give me options for that when the time comes. So these are my questions, right? And I enclose them. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3. Okay, and just give me one more. Let me make it 5. So who records? Okay, who records our meet? Okay, let me remove that. Who records our meet? Yeah, okay, that's okay. So that is my questions, and I've put all of them inside of a string, which means after here, I will not be able to change it. Okay, so let me have my answers now. Let me options, since it's not one. So I have my options, and my options I'm going to have for each of them, of course. Okay, there's something I didn't explain to us. So there's something I did not explain. What's this? Okay. This network. Okay, so there's something I didn't explain to us, and that is having a list inside of a list or nested list. Of course, you're familiar with that. So I could have names, right? And then let's say I have a list, and I could have another list. And instead of here, let's say I could decide to maybe names of boys, right? What am I saying? Okay, let's say the first list instead of the list could be names of people in cohort 11. So I could have Blessing, I could have Justice, I could have, that should be enough. And then I'll still have a comma. So you see, from here to here is our first list inside of our list. Okay, so I could have another list inside of it, and this should be people from cohort 12. Can't remember anybody's name from cohort 12. Okay, fifth son. The reason I remember their names, they've been working hard. I think I have Ezekiel. Okay, a Zebon. Yeah, a Zebon Martin. Okay, so you could just have, even if it's not a list, I could still have, let's say Martin. Okay, so if I'm to print these names now, and I run this program, so you see we have a list. So if I'm to print the index in here and I say 0, the 0 is going to be the first list. So here is my index 0, and this is 1, and this is as 2. So if I want to print 2 here, I'm going to have Martin. If I was to print 1, I'm going to have the other list of lists. Yes. So somebody might ask, what if I want to print, let's say, Justice in this case, since the indexing we have here just gives the whole list. So this is where you could have another bracket here or another squared bracket here. So inside of our list, this is index 0 and this is index 1, right? So which means if I want to access Justice, this is how I do it. So inside of my main list, this is index 1. Sorry, the first index, 0. This is what I have here. And then inside of that list, instead of this, Justice is at the index of 1. So if I run this program now, I'll have Justice here. Same thing here, this is 0, 1. So at my index of 1, I want to access fit sum. So fit sum in this case is going to be at the index of 0 instead of my first list, which is index of 1. So if I run this program, I have fit sum. Yeah, so that's basically list of lists. Now, another thing I could show us is I could have names of, let's say, the same way I said that cohort 11. I'm going to change names now. This time around, I'm going to have Bright. I will have Pascal. And then I could have Duxon, right? And then in from cohort 12, I'm going to have, let's say, I can't really remember their names. Fit some. Just taking this from the repository I have. Then I'm going to have, I'm just stick to what I know. Zebon. And let's add another one, just so I could say staff. Yeah, right. I have Martin. I don't know if Julian is a staff. Seriously, I've forgotten how to spell Julian. So I have Julian. Is it Julian? Those are in a quote. So I could also have a list with just the variable names. So here I will have cohort 11, cohort 12, and then I have staff. All right. So if I should print this, if I print name, it's supposed to be names. If I print name, you see it will appear the same way that appears. So this is the first, which is cohort 11, just as I have here. And then for cohort 12, you see we have here Martin and Julian in just as we have here. So for you to access them just the same way, I could have, let's say I want to access this. This is 1, 0, 1, 2, right? I'll keep it 2. And then to access billion, it should be 0, 1. So I have 1. So if I run this program, I just wanted to show us that. So it works the same way, having a list instead of a list. So you could still have another list instead of another list, depending on what you do. The same thing goes on tuple. You could have a tuple instead of a tuple, just the same way it is. Okay, you could have a tuple instead of a list, just the same way it is. So all those works, you could explore that and see how it's really, really, really works. So I'll close this now and go back to our program. So why I took us to that place is that since I'm having 1, 2, should I just number them? Since I have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. So that means I have options for 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's no other way I could do that. I cannot have options for question 1, options for question 2. Rather, or I could have that and then put them inside one other list, just like a nested list. But I could just do it at once. So I'm using a tuple because these are options. I wouldn't want to change them, alter them after now. So for the first one, I'm still going to open another tuple. So I'm going to have, I don't know who is the mommy of the community. Let's say option A. I should have, let's say blessing. Going to have blessing as the option A. And then should I use space? Option, okay, of course, yeah. Then option B, I'm going to have apple. Yeah, I'm remembering names now. For the option C, I'm going to have, what's her name? Osireme. And then for option D, it's going to be my partner. I'm going to have Becky. So that's my partner. So that's for the first question. And then I comma. So just like that, we have a tuple instead of a tuple. Okay. So for the second one, I'm going to have, mind you, for the sake of reading it clearly, you could put it on a new line. It still works. Okay. So that is just that. So I'm going to have, what was the question? What is the minimum score during probation? I 120. I'm going to have B as 80. I'm going to have C. Have C 25. I could have D as maybe 79, right? And then for this is even more stressful than I thought. Who is Jasper? Man, I don't know what I should give. Okay, who is Jasper? So I'm going to have another tuple, and option A is going to be Jasper is Martin. Read the answer, please. And then I could have C as I don't know, staff or something. And then I have B as food. Okay. So for my last tuple, who records our meat? Okay. So accolade goes to option A. Say David. Please let my name appear in something. Option B, I should have Bright. Many of us won't even know the answer to this. Option C, we have Justice. Option D is Blessing. Okay, Blessing is already here. Pascal. Okay, Pascal could even be in that team, and I don't even know. So I think who records? Yeah, I think that's all. So we have our questions, and then we have our options. So let's give the real answers to these questions now. Real answers, right? Real answers. Also, we could also identify the real answers. Okay, I think we'll write them. I don't know the real answers. So for A, I'm still going to enclose them in a tuple. Why is everything in tuple? In a tuple, so that we won't. This is very important. So we won't change alter it later on. So for the first question, who is this? It should be A. For the second one, we have cutoff mark, that is B. That follows the sequence. Then for the non-disaster is, this is B. Let me just leave it. I don't want to change it. The last one is, so we have our questions here, we have our options here, and we have the real answers. Believe me, I don't know what else to do. Okay, I think the next thing to do here is to write a loop rather, to look through these questions and the options too, and then display the questions and the options. I think that's what we should do. Okay, so we know how to look through our list, or let's say not list. Let me open this again. Remember when we have something like fast. When we have something, what's the time? 9:56. Okay, let's just see how quick. When we have something like this, lesson, right? And we want to look through and print all the letters inside of lesson. So we say for N in name, right? Print N. And then we have this. So it's the same thing in list, or it's the same thing for anything. Sorry. And then I have, let's say, I have Pascal here, right? Let's say I have one more name. I have Dixon here, and then I have Mr. Owen here, right? So for N in name, and I want to print that. So we have Pascal, this. If you wanted to print this on the same line, separated by, let's say, commas and the space, we remember how to do this. We have Blessing, Pascal, Dixon, and Owen. So that's how you would iterate and print whatever it is you have. So I think I should just leave this tab open. So that's basically what I want to do now. I want to look through these questions and print each of them. So for Q in, let me just use for question. Yeah, for quest in questions. For Q in questions, right? For Q in questions, yeah, thank you. For Q in questions, print questions. Is it? No, print quest. So for quest in questions, that is for question in questions. For every question in questions, print the questions. So let's run that to see. Okay, so that works. Who is the mommy of the community? What is the? Shouldn't I just number this? Give it number 1. Number 2, number 3, number 4. So please let's just follow up and see how this works. So we have all of this, right? So we have successfully printed our questions, and I don't even know what to do next. Okay, so we're also going to print our options, of course. Okay, so we are going to also have another loop. Yeah, just like, I shouldn't go back to that. So inside of this, so for this, for opt, I will use for opt in options, just the same way. For opt in options, print options. Sorry, print opt. Print opt. Yes, print opt. Who is the mommy of the community? We have Blessing, Apple, Osureme. Okay. What is okay? So this is this is like printing everything before going back to question 2. Printing all the options before going back to question 2. Okay, how do I correct that? Okay, so I could correct that by giving this a number that I should increment. Right? That is, if I give it 1, so I should increment it and say, okay, after displaying options of 1, I will increment it and it goes to options of 2. Yeah. That's okay. So I'm going to say opt. I'm going to name it opt again, and give it to 0. So for opt-in, no, I shouldn't name it opt. It's not. Let me just give it option, since here is options. Okay, option index, very long. Option in. So for print opt, and then I'm going to index it and say option in. Okay, so it will start from 0, right? So this is like saying index of inside this opt, right? Inside this opt, it should start from the index of 0. I hope I'm correct in this. No. Opt is going to give me individual options. Should be options, which means I want to print everything inside of these options. But then I want to start from the first tuple I have. Yes, that's what I mean. So I'm going to option in. So this is going to start from the index of 0 of options, right? Then I'm going to increment it. We are going to increment it, and then it goes to the. Let me just print it first. So let's see. We have blessing Apple for who is the mommy of the community, and we still have this. Okay. For option, I think that's what I wanted to do. Okay. Let me increment it. Let's see if that works. Let me increment it. So I have option underscore in plus equals to 1. Okay, this should work. Who is the mommy of the community? We have blessing. This should work. Yeah, this definitely should work. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. So I'm just going to comment this. This definitely will work. I think let's just continue. I wanted to take the inputs, right? Let me take the inputs now. So let's take our input now. So for each of the iterable, this is what is happening. It's printing these options 4 times. 4 times because we have, don't worry, to correct itself. So let me take the input now. So the input is going to be, it should be outside of this. Or let's say answers. Do we have a variable name answers? No, answers. So I'll name this answers. I hope everybody's with me here. My brain won't explode though. Tuples can be manipulated and modified. Yes, of course, it can be manipulated. Yes, of course. Okay, so answers. I'm taking input. So choose an option. So I believe this is very explanatory. Choose an option A, B, C, or D. Close the bracket. So what am I saying here is the user should, for each time I iterate through a question, that's why I'm having it outside of this inside inner loop. I'm having it inside of this loop. So for each time we iterate through the question, I don't print the first question. It should ask the user for the input. So that means it will do this, and it will print each of the question, the first question, and then it will print the options we have, and at the particular index, as we are going to increment this index, and then it will ask for the input for once of that, and then it will go again and do that, and over till we get to the 4th one, then our loop should be able to end. So that's basically how what here looks like for now. Okay, yeah, that's what it looks like for now. Okay, but then I need to store my answer somewhere. No, I don't need to do that. So I'm going to write here and say if answer. This is where we start to write the program now, right? To say if our answer matches this answer, it should give us correct or not. So if answer equals to if answers, if answers equals to real answers, remember, real answers. So remember that we are still in the iteration of this. So it's going to also check this once. Yeah, remember when we run a particular loop, this is going to print the first question, and everything is happening except this is going to happen, or like it's going to give us 4 of that before it goes into the next one. So all this is happening once. So this is going to check the answer for the first question. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to specify that since this is the answer for the first question we have. Yeah, this is the first answer for. So I'm going to index here that it should be equals to the real answer at this index. And then for the next one, it should be the answer to the next index, right? So at the index of since I already have this equals to 0, I can still use that so that it will increment accordingly. Oh, I'm not even thinking of this. I should have thought of this first. Yes, it's correct. That should be correct. So if answers equal to real answers at the index of 0 for the first one, yes, what should happen? We should say print correct. Yeah, we should just do print correct. Man, print correct. Oh, you got it. An exclamation mark. Let me use 3 exclamation marks. So if answers equals to that is correct, you should do that. Else you should just print you failed it woefully. You failed that. Yeah, you failed that. And then you failed that. Yes. Yeah, you failed that. And then, okay, this is where, after all this, I've run all of this. This is where I could increment this so that when coming back, it will increment this indexing, and give us the next values. So yes, I think we're almost done with this program. Yeah, well, we are done with the program, except that I should just go outside of the loop and print maybe the answers or something like that. But for me, I'm done with the program. Okay, so let's print the main answer so that, or let's print the main answer. No, we could just run the program now. See, let's run. So let's run the program again. Wow, this is terrible. Okay, so anyways, who is the mommy of the community? Here is Blessing, Apple, Osireme, Becky. So let's give it. I just realized something now. Let me play it. Okay, so I got it. So what is the minimum score? I'm going to correct this. I don't know why it's happening like this. I'm going to correct it. So what is the minimum score during probation? So let me choose an incorrect answer and see if that works. Tell that, right? Okay, who is Jasper? So let me say B. Okay, you got it. And then who records our meat? Let's say, most of us don't know this. So let me use David. Tell that. And that's the end of the program. Yes, that is good. But then we should be able to give ourselves score at the end. Yes, we should be able to give ourselves score at the end. So what do we do now? How do I do that? Okay, so in the place of saying if the guess is correct, so if this thing is correct, okay, I will name it Mark. No, sorry, Max. No, that's score. Score equals to 0, definitely. So let's say each of them should have four marks, right? So for each of them, you are going to be scoring 4 and 4. Okay, so in this place, so if the score is correct, we'll just increment our score plus 4. So if we get all of them right, they are scoring 20, right? Plus 4. Yeah, I think that does the magic. So all I need to do now is just to print my score out. So I'll say print Print, should I just say print scores? That would be like lame. Anyway, let me do that. Print scores. Sorry, is this scores I use or score? Print score. So let's play. Excuse me, let me look at this again. Please, if you see why this is giving me in false, like if you just notice why, tell me. So we could correct that. Just raise your hand up, I will hear the sound and tell you to tell us. So let me look at it again. So for opt-in options, right? This is the options happening like this. So for opt-in options, print, okay, should I use, this cannot work now. Come on, this can't. Oh, shit. Damn. So this worked. Okay, so we've gotten, but then I'm having A, Y. So it's giving me, okay, this is wrong. It's giving me all the options in the list. No, that is wrong. So please, if you see why this is really, really happening like this, just tell me, but let me just look at it a bit. Opt-in options, print options, right? Opt-in options, print options. Opt-in options, print options. Wait. For opt-in options. Okay. For okay. I think I get it now. For opt-in options, remember it is the options I'm printing. So instead, for opt-in options at the index of 0, where are our options? So these are our options. Remember, we have all these options. So for opt-in options in the index of 0, so for each of the iteration, right, it should only print the first, this one, and then goes into print the next one, like that. So that's what missed. I was just printing everything at once. Okay, so let's run that. This should work. Damn. What the hell? Wait, okay, print opt, rather. Print opt. Yeah, so you see, that's correct. That's correct. Let me compare that. That's correct. So for who is the mommy of the community? So I'm just going to, for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to answer them correctly. You got it. Yeah. Damn. What is the minimum score during probation? So I'm just going to answer that wrong. Tell that. So who is Jasper? Jasper is a bot. We got it. So who records our meat? You should answer that one by yourself. So I'm going to choose D. You failed that. And then I scored 8. How? 1. I failed this. I got this. That's 4. So this is correct. This is correct. So basically, this is how you could use your list, your nested list. Sorry, this is Tuples. I didn't use list in this, but we all get the ideas now, right? We get the idea of how this works. So we've been able to apply our list, the nested list, and all those things in making this. I think that was the essence of this for us to understand how this works. So you could also use list in this place. It works. Okay, it must not be this Tuples. You could use list and another list instead of a list. It works. You could even use a list and have all these stuffs instead of it, as Tuples instead of it. It will still work. So I think I'll give room for questions, and we still have time. We could still visit some of our tasks. So if you have questions now, you can raise up your hand. Olawale, please. Olawale, ask your question.
Okay. See, I may be a little bit confused about where you use that link and how you did your looping.
Where I used what?
How you did your looping, the looping.
Okay. So I should go back to it, right?
Yes, especially that option, that option stuff.
Okay. That place, because of how we treated it, we were going back and forth, so it must have been confusing. So let me explain it from the top now. Okay, so please just help me unmute your mic so that it's not be echoing. Thank you. Okay, so we know how to iterate inside an iterable and get the values inside of it, right? So it's just like saying this could be anything you want to use. All right, this could be anything. It could be for I in questions, print I. It just means that for every value inside of the questions, print that particular value. That's how you read that. Okay, so basically the first thing we have here is for questions, print quest. Okay, so if I go back there, it says for questions, right? Print quest. So I'm having 4 questions here. So for every question I have, print the question. So it's going to print this, it's going to print this, it's going to print that. But we're having it here now that it's printing them one after the other. So let's see how that works. So for questions, print quest. Remember, this is a nested loop. Now we have another loop instead of another loop. So when this happens, remember, if I didn't have any of this, after this thing prints, it will go back and print another one and print another one and print another one. And you know how our program is being read. It's being read line by line, right? So after printing this, all right, because we have another program inside the same loop, you see the indentation is the same, right? So after printing the first question, it will hold on and then execute this, execute whatever it is in the same indentation before coming back and printing the second one. So that's how this first loop runs. So after printing the first question, so let me just run that. After printing the first question, which is this now, let's take note like that. Now we have a nested loop that says, excuse me, let me drink water, please. Now we have another loop that says, for this could be read with you could use X here for X in options. This is just what you use and iterate through. Okay, so it says for opt in options. And you know options, we also have, where is our option? We have our option the same way we had our question. That's how we have our question. But our question here are nested tuples, which means this is at the index of 1, right? All these are index of 2, and all these are index of 3 and 4, right? So if you have for opt in options, all right, at the for opt in options of at the index of whatever this is, and at first this is at the index of 0 because we put this to be at the index of 0. So what is at the index of 0? The index of 0 is from here to here, right? Which is what, if you check the values, Blessing, Apple, Osuremi, and Becky, that's what we have here. So let me go back to that. So for opt in options at the index of 0, print opt, and this is at the index of 0. So it will print the opt, which is all these things we have here. Follow that accordingly. Now, after printing that, usually it would have print all the options we have after printing the first one, the next one, the next one. But because we have another code at the same indentation, so it will hold on with that, just as this held on, to hold on for the next line to be executed. If this was indented, or all this was indented inside of this would have run over and over again till it's done. So since this happened, this will hold on after printing this. And then we have the next line of code here, which is our input, which is what we have here, right? So after, when we give our input here, depending on the option we give, this is going to be executed. And because this is also in the same indentation as that first loop, it will be executed before it goes back to the beginning. So if the answer is equal to real answers at the index of 0, and we are going to increment that, so that in the next iteration, we are going to have at the index of 1, like that. Increment the score by 4, which is, we could use 1, but I wanted us to have, for each of the questions, we have 4 scores, right? Or 4 marks, rather. So we have this, and that's if this is correct with this, right? And then we have our else part that says if that is not correct, just print you failed that. And then we increment the option, which is this, which is what we are using as the indexing here. All right. So we increment it to 1, which means when coming back here, right, this does not have anything to do with the indexing. So this is just going to print the next question. Remember, we are looping through, printing all the questions, but we are having a hold here because we have other things under of it. So for questions, print quest. So it will print the next question, which if I give an answer to this, I failed that, right? And then I have number 2. So it's printing the next one here, and the options just, so it will go back, print the next question, and the same procedures goes on and on. the same, it will print the next thing. Remember, this is incremented to 1. And what is at the index of 1 in the options? We have this 120 through this. This is what we have. And we don't have anything concerning indexing here. So this goes on and on until we are done with this particular loop. The questions, we are up to question 4. And then we go out of the loop and print just the score. So that is basically that for the loop part. I think the program is very clear. So Olawale, are you clear on that?
Yes, I'm clear.
Okay, no problem. So Alphonse, please ask your question. Option.
Sir, I get what you're saying, but some students are so stubborn. And they may enter the wrong option. So what would happen if the student enters the wrong option?
Okay. Please, help me unmute your mic. Hearing myself. Okay, so is mic is still echoing. Okay, Olawale, please keep your mics mute. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is it. This is why we have this conditional statement here. That if answers equal to real answers at the index of this, meaning that if the answer at, this is a loop, all right? So in the first loop, if your answer is, in the first question, remember we've defined our real answers here accordingly to how it is here. So the answer to the first tuple here is A, then the next one B, C. So which means these are the real answers at the various indexes. So if your answer, which is your input, is equals to this is what double equals to, which means is the same thing as the real answer at the index of whatever it is at that loop. And the first one is option in, which is the 0 in the first loop. So which means this is the option 0. So if you are looping through, this is the first question that will come up. These are the first options that come up. So this is going to be the first, the correct answer you should use in the first one. So if your input is equals to this at that index, then it will print, you got it, and give you 4 marks. But if it is not, if your answer is not correct, what should happen? It should tell you that you failed that. So I could just run that for us to see. So who is the mommy of the community? Let's say I get the first one, I put A. You got it, right? Because my answer at the index of that 0, I put A. It works, right? So the next question, what is the minimum score during probation? And it's supposed to be B, right? Because this has been incremented to 1. So it becomes at the index of 1, which is this. So 0, 1. So let's say I put C in this case. I hit enter. It says you failed that. So that's basically that. So I'm just going to fail all of them now. Failed that. So my score is 4. That means I got just one of the questions. But there's something, okay, before I move on. Alphonse, are you okay now? Do you now understand?
Not really. That's not what I meant.
Okay, what did you mean?
Okay, we have 4-letter options, A to D. But
yes,
it may come out that a student may enter, for example, an option P.
Okay, an option.
You don't have an option P. Yeah.
Yes, whatever it is that is not inside of this option, it will tell you that you failed it. That is how it is. That's why we have this else part. So if your answer is not the same thing as whatever it is you have in the real answers, then this else part is going to be executed, which means you failed it. So if you don't have anything between A, B, C, D, you failed. That is how it works. Do you understand now?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, welcome. But if you feel you want to maybe modify the program and say, if someone enters a letter from E to Z, that it should do something else, maybe repeat the question, you could do that. Yes, you could do that. It's possible. So I think is now inside the comments. You can always copy it and go on and modify it to suit your best. So, okay, Philmon, please ask your question.
Yeah, hello?
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what if someone writes an A in small letters?
Oh, yes, thank you. That was what I wanted to say since, but then I keep forgetting because of the questions I have. So, yes, if I should run this and the answer is A, right, and I put small letter, it will tell me that I failed it because what is defined here is capital letters. So, what we could do is, at this point, we could use the method upper, right, and convert our input to a capital letter. So let me run this again and say I use small letter. So it will tell me that I got it. So what this does is that whatever you put inside of it is going to capitalize it. All right. So it will check that with this. All right. And thank you for reminding me that. So I think I should just copy this again. And I'm coming. I'll take your question. For opt-in, go back and copy. For opt-in. Okay, so you can remove that, and this is the main one. Okay, so I hope you are clear on that, Philmon.
Yeah,
Okay.
Lastly, I just wanted to know, if you use capital, does it still work?
Yeah, of course. Let me run it again. If you use a capital letter, it will still work. Just capitalize it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sir. Okay, so that was that. And thank you for that. So, Blessing, your hand was up. Has your question been answered?
Yes. That was exactly the question I wanted to ask.
Have any question? Maybe there's a concept we use here and do not understand, then you can always ask me later on. But there's nothing here that we've just done that we've not done. So that is that for list and tuples. So let me check the time. 10:28. Okay, could we use? Can I still do that? Say let's use 2 minutes and solve particular thing. No. I could just suspend that, please. I'm going to suspend that. Maybe tomorrow we've covered this, and then we are still having yet. This is going to expire. This is going to must end by 15 March. This is going to end by tomorrow. So we still have tomorrow. So we'll still gather tomorrow and try to solve some of these tasks and explore other things that we could do with list and tuples. Yes. So yeah, list and tuples. So yes, this is what we'll do tomorrow. We are going to solve some of the tasks we have by tomorrow. The reason I'm doing that is because it's already 10:28, and for those in the eastern part of the Africa, it's already like maybe 12:28 on their own end. 11:28. So it's getting really, really late. So I'll end the session there. So please, if you have any questions concerning list and tuple, you can always ask anybody. Ask me, ask your peers, anybody at all you feel comfortable with, and definitely you'll get the answers you want. Okay, if you ask me, please, and I don't give you the answer at a particular time, just hold on, I'll give you the answer. Sometimes I'm not available with my phone. So that's basically that for list and tuples, and I believe we've gotten some things, right? So before I end the session, I want to still tell us about our repository. What was I looking at? Our repository. Python tutorial. So it's now live, right? I've created it now, and I've added some of the lessons. I added modules. I mistakenly deleted it again. I don't want to go back with it. So I've added this. So you could go on and fork the repository. After forking, you clone it, attempt some of the tags, and create pull requests. So I could review it, right? So if you go inside of these exercises, the way I've done it now is that depending on the concepts you want to solve the exercise on, like I have operators, modules, data types, and variable conditional statement, you could just open any one from your cloned um, directory, solve them. If I open this particular one here, you see we have tax 1, 2, 3. You open another one, you see the same thing. So you could just do any one, then you create your pull request, and then I will review it. This I've added the lesson to it, but I mistakenly deleted it while I was hurrying to close up from particular thing. Okay, so these advanced tags are tags not related to those things, like those things we are learning, like the operators, data types and variables. These are just general tags that you could say you want to give yourself more tries, right? So open this. Let me open this. I think I found this interesting. So you see, this one says you have two friends who are speaking this, that. So this could be something you could practice with to, get yourself to see if you could really solve some of these problems using the concept you've learned. So you could just spend some time with it. And the more you solve some of these kind of tasks, the more you get better at doing some of these things. So while trying to solve, because these ones are basically more difficult than the other ones. Those ones are already defined, but this one, they just tell you a particular problem and tell you to go and solve it. So whenever you want to attempt this kind of task, it would be best that you just read the question and understand it, understand what they want, right? And then after that, you kind of identify what you might need in solving that particular task. Just like what we did on this particular thing. This was very wrong the way I did it. That was why it took us time, because I was like doing it on the job. I was learning on the job. So what you could do is, they said, write a quiz game that displays a question, option, take user input, and compute whatever it is, and give you if they are correct or wrong. So what I could have done is, after reading that question and understand it, then identify what I need in the program, things I need. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to need questions, I'm going to need options. I'll just write them down. I'm going to need the real answers to compare with what the person has imputed. Then I don't know if I will, but I'm going to need score, right? And then I'm going to need user input. So I'll just write them down. And then afterwards, I start to input the questions. I start to input the options, and it will make it easier for you. And then it's also going to help you develop your skills in solving that kind of problems if you encounter them, so that when you are faced with a problem, you will not just jump on the keyboard and start to write. That is basically what the whiteboarding is all about. And more of, they said in interviews, they don't usually like really give you a computer or bring your computer and start to code. No, rather they give you the problem and then give you the whiteboard and allow you to explain it. So you could explain it in any language you want to, even if it's in English. But as far as you break it down and give them the required answer they might want, that is what they're looking for. So yeah, that is basically, I think, what this is for. The advanced task is for. I will add more by tomorrow, I'll add more while I'm adding other lessons. So yeah, that's that for that. So if you've not had the repository, you can come on here and click on this, fork the repository, clone it, and go on to put the other things. So that will be all for today, and I believe it was a great time with all of us here as usual. So this is where I'll give us the time to have questions, contributions, or suggestions concerning what we are doing, our community. You can raise up your hand now, and I'll give you the time to speak. You don't know how to raise up your hand. This is the icon to do that. Just click on it, and I will see it. I'll give you the time to speak. Anybody, suggestions, what you feel we should change or add, then we'll look into it later on and see how we can implement it. Okay, so everything is all right the way it is. All right, that's great. All right, so before I end everything, I want to also say thank you to Justice Obasi, one of our media persons. Is always available to record our session to make sure that we have it at the end of the day and go back to it and review it. So I thank you, dear Justice. Justice, if you are there, please unmute your mic and say hi to the community.
Hi, David. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, sir. It's always nice to have you. So to every other person who is here, Pascal, you want to say something? Okay, Pascal, you want to say something? Okay.
I'm not saying anything. It's a mistake. I wanted to send an emoji. Sorry about that.
Okay, sir. No problem. So to every one of us who is here today, I thank you for coming out, because it's never going to be possible if you don't come out. Mr. Omi is with us today, one of our media persons. Mr. Omi, I've not seen you for a very long time. What's going on? Please unmute your mic and tell the community. Mr. Omi, tell us, please. Is there something we could help with? Okay. I don't know if it is your network or whatever it is, but whatever it is, please, you should reach out and tell us so that we'll know how to assist in any way. Okay, so for every one of us who is here, I want to thank you too. Starting from, let me just call some names. Angel, Esther, Blessing, Chukwumike, our community mommy. If you have problems, just go and meet Blessing. She will give you the solution. Any problem at all. Camillus, Folakemi, Justice, Nofisat, Alphonse, Philmon, Olawale, Oluwafemi, Ego, Pascal, Dukesin, our study teacher, Thomas Oselu, Womedimo. Thank you everybody for coming out. I appreciate you. It's a blessing.
Thank for showing up, always showing up. Thank you for the lectures.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So you can. Pascal said blessing wants to finish our emoji, and I've noticed it. She has been sending emojis in. So you can unmute your mics now and say goodbye to everybody. All right, we are at the end of the session. Good night, everybody.
Okay, good night, everybody. David, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Oba, I've been calling you and you mute your mic, right?
Yeah, actually, I went out to get some water. I didn't really hear that.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, but did you want me to do something?
Yeah, I was asking you why you've not been around since.
Oh, hey. Whoa, bro. It's been a little worrisome, but it's okay. It's fine. Just some little things taken care of, actually. I do apologize, though.
Okay.
But I've missed the whole class and everybody. I'm glad to be back. Thank you.
Okay. I'm actually happy to see you around.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you, too. So thank you, everybody. And good night.
All right. Thank you, David. Thank
Thank
you.
you.